We often focus on treating diseases after they appear, right? But what if we could get a much earlier, clearer view?
Yeah.
Especially for something like the heart,
Uh-huh.
that's becoming so crucial. So for this deep dive, we've really gotten into a detailed 2025 market report.
Yeah.
Think of it as our guide, basically, to understanding where things stand now and where they're headed for cardiovascular monitoring and diagnostic devices globally.
Exactly. And this isn't just, a quick look. We've got market size data, growth forecasts, regional breakdowns, segment analysis, the works.
Right.
Our mission here is really to pull out the key numbers, the key insights, so you walk away with a really solid understanding of this market's current state and its future path.
Okay, let's dive in then. The report starts big, establishing the scale. For 2025, the estimate for this global market, these devices like ECGs, telemetry monitors, that sort of thing, it's USD 620 million.
$4.6 billion, yeah. And that's just the starting point, really. What's striking is the projected growth. By 2033, the report forecasts this market hitting USD 838.82 million.
Wow, almost double.
Pretty much. That works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 8.60% between 2025 and 2033.
8.6%. That's a really healthy growth rate. What's pushing that expansion so strongly?
The report is very clear on this. It's the increasing prevalence globally of cardiovascular diseases. Sadly, heart problems are just becoming more common, and that obviously drives demand for the tech that helps monitor and diagnose them.
Right.
And it's not just overall numbers rising, in some places we're seeing these issues affect younger people too, which suggests, a sustained need for these tools.
That's a concerning trend, but it definitely highlights why this market is so important. Now, the report breaks this down geographically, right? Let's start with North America. What's the picture there?
Okay, North America, it's currently the dominant player, holds over 40% of the global revenue share.
Over 40%.
Okay. The market size there in 2025 is estimated at USD 1709.40 million, and the CAGR predicted for them, 2025 to 2033, is 7.1%.
So still strong growth, 7.1%, but maybe a touch below the global average you mentioned. Why is North America leading the pack right now?
The report flags a couple of main reasons. First, their advanced healthcare infrastructure. It just makes it easier to adopt these kinds of devices widely.
Makes sense.
And second, unfortunately, is a high prevalence of cardiovascular diseases in the population there.
Right. And I imagine there are differences within North America, too, between the U.S., Canada, Mexico.
Absolutely. The U.S. is the powerhouse within the region, definitely. Market size of USD 148.72 million in 2025. With a 6.9% CAGR projected.
Okay.
Then you have Canada, about USD 205.13 million, but actually growing a bit faster at 7.9% CAGR.
Interesting.
And Mexico, USD 155.56 million with a 7.6% CAGR. So strong across the board, really.
Okay, North America leads. How does Europe stack up?
Europe's the second biggest market. It accounts for over 30% of the global revenue.
Right.
Their 2025 market size is pegged at USD 339.80 million, and the expected CGR through 2033 is 7.6%.
7.6%. So similar growth to North America, maybe slightly higher, but starting from a smaller base.
Yeah.
Any particular countries driving things in Europe?
Yeah, several key markets. The UK, for instance, is projected at USD 225.09 million with a pretty strong 8.4 per city AGR.
Yep.
Germany actually has the largest market size in Europe, USD 265.28 million, growing at 7.8%. Then France at 123 million, 6.8% CGR. Italy about 115 million, 7.0% CAGR. Russia is also significant, over 200 million, 6.6% growth. Spain around 110 million, 6.7%. You've also got solid growth in places like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg, and then the rest of Europe collectively. It's quite widespread.
It really is. Okay, so North America and Europe are the established leaders, but then there's the Asia-Pacific region, APAC. The report suggests that's where the fastest action's happening.
That's absolutely right. APAC currently holds around 23% of the global revenue. So market size in 2025 is USD 1,108.80 million. But the kicker is the CAGR. A projected 11.4% between 2025 and 2033. That makes it the fastest growing region by a really significant margin.
Wow, 11.4%. That is explosive. What's fueling that kind of acceleration in APAC?
It's really a combination of things. The report points to, again, the rising burden of cardiovascular disease there. That's linked to things like rapid urbanization, aging populations, lifestyle changes. familiar patterns, unfortunately,
Right.
but also, crucially, improving healthcare infrastructure across many APAC countries. This means better access to these kinds of diagnostic tools. As cities grow quickly, lifestyles change, diets shift. It mirrors what happened earlier in the West, hence the faster rise in cardiac issues now.
And within APAC, which countries are the main growth engines?
China's huge, obviously. USD 465.70 million market size, growing at 10.9%. Japan's next, about 153 million, growing at 9.9%. South Korea, 133 million, 10.5% growth.
Strong numbers.
And look at India's smaller market size for now, around 111 million, but with a projected CAGR of 13.3%.
13.3, that's massive.
It really is. And you also see double-digit growth projected for Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, Southeast Asia as a whole. It's a broad regional trend.
So North America and Europe might be bigger today, but APAC is definitely the one to watch for the future dynamics of this market. What about the other regions mentioned? South America, Middle East, Africa?
Yeah, they're smaller shares, but still showing growth.
Yeah.
South America is over 5% of global revenue, about USD 175 million in 2025, with a strong 9.3% CAGR. Brazil and Argentina are key there.
Okay.
The Middle East is around 2% share, roughly USD 185 million, growing fast at 9.9% CAGR. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are leading that.
Right.
And Africa currently holds about 1%, just over USD 100 million in 2025, with an 8.9% CAGR. South Africa is the largest market within Africa.
Got it. So a clear picture of the regional sizes and growth rates. Now, the report also segments the market by product type, doesn't it? What are the main categories there?
Yes. So the dominant product segment, according to the report, is ECG devices, electrocardiograms.
The classic ECG.
Exactly. It's foundational, right? Used everywhere to diagnose and monitor all sorts of heart conditions by looking at the heart's electrical signals. It's a standard tool in hospitals, clinics, even for ambulatory, mobile patients. And the technology keeps advancing wireless ECGs, portable ones, that keeps driving use.
Makes sense. And which product type is flagged as the fastest growing?
That would be mobile cardiac telemetry, or MCT. The report singles this out for the highest growth potential.
Okay, MCT. What makes it grow so fast?
Think of it like continuous remote monitoring. Wearable devices track heart activity constantly in real time and can alert doctors immediately if something's wrong, even if the patient is at home.
Ah, so it's that real-time remote capability.
Precisely. It's a shift from just periodic checks to continuous oversight. This growth is really powered by, the trend towards wearables, telemedicine, and home healthcare generally.
Yeah, that fits perfectly with broader healthcare trends. The report also mentions things like Holter monitors and event monitors, implantable loop recorders too.
Right. Those are other important segments within the product mix.
Okay, so we know the products. Who is actually using them? What about the end users?
Hospitals are the biggest end users right now. That makes sense given their infrastructure, the volume of patients, especially for critical care needing that kind of intensive continuous monitoring.
But, like with the products,
Yeah.
is there a faster growing end user segment?
Yes, ambulatory surgery centers or ASCs.
ASCs, okay. Why them?
The report connects it to the rise in outpatient procedures, people wanting more convenient, often more cost-effective care outside of a big hospital setting.
Right.
So ASCs are increasingly using portable and wearable monitors for patients, before and after surgeries done on an outpatient basis.
So again, that trend towards care moving outside the traditional hospital walls. The report also sums up the main market drivers. What are they?
There are a few key ones. First, just wider adoption of advanced tech for earlier disease detection, more focus on catching things early. Second, the aging population globally, the geriatric demographic is growing, and they tend to have higher rates of heart issues.
Right.
And third, as we've touched on, those ongoing tech advancements, especially in wearables and portable devices, just making monitoring easier and more accessible.
Okay. And on the flip side, what holds the market back? What are the restraints?
Two main things highlighted. One is cost. Some of these advanced devices are expensive, which limits access, particularly in lower income regions or healthcare system.
That's a significant barrier.
Definitely. The other is a shortage of skilled professionals. You need trained people to operate these advanced systems and properly interpret the complex data they generate.
The human element. You mentioned cost. Does the report specify if certain types of devices are more problematic cost-wise? And are there any solutions being looked at, like different payment models or insurance coverage?
It doesn't detail specific initiatives, but it does imply that, the more sophisticated tech, like some implantables perhaps, naturally come with a higher price tag, and that inherently creates an affordability challenge, especially where budgets are tight.
Understood. Okay. Drivers and restraints. What about future trends? What's shaping the market moving forward?
Two big ones stand out in the report. First, the increasing integration of AI, artificial intelligence.
AI in diagnostics.
Exactly. Using AI to analyze the huge amounts of data from these devices to potentially spot patterns and improve diagnostic accuracy. That's a major focus.
I can see that. And the second trend?
It's the continued growth and adoption of wearables and remote monitoring for just continuous everyday heart health tracking, empowering people to be more proactive about their own health.
Fascinating how technology is really driving this field. Lastly, the competitive landscape. Who are the main companies involved?
It's described as highly competitive. You've got big global players and smaller regional ones.
Okay.
The report names some key companies: Medtronic, GE Healthcare, Philips Healthcare, Abbott Laboratories, Boston Scientific, Siemens Healthineers, many familiar names in medtech.
Yeah, the heavy hitters.
Right. And they're all focused heavily on innovation, AI, wearables, portability to stay competitive. Companies like Medtronic and Philips are constantly pushing boundaries in everything from pacemakers to imaging, and now deeply into this monitoring space, too.
And the report includes some specific examples of recent activity.
Just a few snapshots from 2021, yeah. Angel Medical Systems getting FDA approval for their Guardian device implant in the U.S., Phoenix Cardiac Devices getting a CE mark in Europe for their BACE device, and the FDA approving a novel non-surgical heart valve treatment. It just gives a flavor of the ongoing innovation and regulatory activity.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. What are the main takeaways from this deep dive into the cardiovascular monitoring market?
Well, I think it's clear it's already a substantial global market in 2025, right? And it's set for really significant growth through 2033.
Driven mainly by rising heart disease rates.
Exactly. We see the Asia-Pacific region emerging as the fastest growing area, which is a key dynamic to watch. And technologically, things like mobile cardiac telemetry and the integration of AI are becoming increasingly important, really shaping how cardiac care is delivered.
This has been incredibly insightful. It really paints a picture of a dynamic industry tackling a huge global health issue.
It really does, and it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? Consider how further advances in wearables and AI might just completely change personal heart health monitoring down the line.
Yeah.
Could those lines between clinical diagnostics and what you do at home become, really blurry? What does that mean for preventing issues before they start? And how much more involved could individuals become in managing their own heart health? It's definitely something to ponder.